any aggro Ivy play. We haven't seen anybody push inside of T-Con. It's really just been Cloud9 playing responsibly.
They've never done Shroud has always played Ivy so passively in his history, and it's always been a really weird thing where he's super good at playing it passively, but you gotta point out that every top team is putting tons of aggression on Ivy, and you can't just be the one team that doesn't and expect to win games. And teams like Virtus Pro would always bully them at Ivy for that reason. SK as well, and you know, it's a different roster right now, but it feels like it's like 3 subs. So
it's just going to be another one of those moments where CLG is going to barrel into the B bomb site. Of course, that quick flank is a threat already. We'll see if they can hold off anyone at all. Tarek immediately removed as Stu tries to find cover, but instead he takes one to the chest, and Ethan with another frag puts CLG to the 5v3. Skadoodle reeling backwards, trying to keep himself alive, giving time now for Shroud to come in behind, but there's no retake here. Cloud9 again going to forfeit another round, and CLG assert themselves with 5 consecutive to the board.
They're finding a way to make contact inside with very little nade usage, just getting in between the counter nades from Cloud9. They're doing it great. You'll always have someone in Z, someone to come from back lanes, and they can get there pretty quickly. And even if you're down in numbers, the retake is always doable, or almost always. Not in that circumstance, obviously, but there aren't that many after plant spots to play on as a terrorist, and so a retake, even if it's 3v4, is more winnable than like a retake on B side of Dust 2. That needs to be, you know, you see these need to be up in numbers to even have a chance.
What a contrast to the retakes we saw from Liquid earlier tonight, where so frequently they were successful. Of course, Cloud9 allowing that lead to get away from them. CLG already putting up a very threatening score for the T side of this map. But again, a similar setup. We've got Rush sitting to the bottom side of ladder. Still Shroud passively playing on Ivy, and this 2-man B stack. So Cloud9 not looking to complicate things, not looking to take initiatives, but rather try and hope that their response finally works out.
So, you know, like, as long as CLG aren't putting any pressure on Ivy, this setup is, this setup is weak when a team is putting pressure on Ivy. If they're not, it's fine. And they have 2 players inner, even though CLG are going inner, and they still can't hold. So it's funny because they are a little bit too static, but even in this setup, they should be fine.
It's one of those moments where, in theory, this defense should hold. But it seems like Cloud9 are just puncturing their way through. Tarek taking 2, that's big! As the 3rd man falls from above, Rikke finds 1 frag, but Stu the trade. And this could be the opening that Cloud9 needed, but FNS from the backside will remove a man on A site. And 20 seconds left is not much time for CLG to work with. At least they've got the smoke to allow the entry in. However, the fire blocks things off. Both players getting quickly quelled as Stewie from on high finds a 4th round for Cloud9.
Yeah, and that's one of the first times we've seen Stewie really do a good job inner in this game. And so now they found his footing. Great flash there to help him out. And obviously, that second kill on Cutler coming out was a big deal. So Cloud9 within 1 is great for them. CLG tried to do the exact same thing that was working for them, and it's hard to say whether or not they shouldn't, because it's really up to Cloud9 to prove they could stop it, and on that previous round, didn't even kill a single person. So you can totally understand why CLG would want to try that play again, and that it hasn't worked, they can go back to the drawing board, or they can keep that in their pocket for a future round, just to change things up. Rush, and people can play really aggressive at ladder now because it's extremely difficult to catch anyone off guard. People throw all kinds of nades to try to catch people off guard just to see if there's anyone standing down there eventually. And sometimes you want to go down dry, sometimes you just want to throw 2 people there to make sure you trade. Going 1 for 1 is sometimes okay, but you definitely don't want to simply go down and get killed. Huh. That is a cool Molotov.
A work of art, some would say. But that work of art is smothered by the smoke of Cloud9. They extinguish the flames, and it's extinguished the opportunity for Ethan to skewer that bomb site. He's not going to be able to catch anyone up towards T-Con. Despite there not being anyone there, it's Stewie who's pushed up in Brown Halls, lines up 2, but takes neither of those frags, dealing damage instead towards both. It's a double op setup on each side. 30 seconds left to play off of, but Tarek holding them inside of ladder and looking for another. We do have CLG entering forwards. Shroud able to catch another kill as the frag sails over. So much damage dealt and not much time left to play off of. Cutler desperately trying to find an opening, but it's left only Ricky. And if he's gonna die, he wants to do it before time runs out. He's found one kill, and now he just needs to hide. Stay alive and keep that op grandfathered into the next round.
Yeah, and at least they have that. Cloud9 proved to be resilient outside. The kind of like inner throwback to outside didn't work so well. They didn't do anything to neutralize the op, and there was no way for Ricky to get that opening kill once Tarek had moved to the opposite side of Bomb Train, which he seemed to be kind of tunnel vision on. So now we're 5-5. CLG still have a ton of money in the bank. Cloud9 have to still prove that they can string rounds together, which is a big problem for them. And even though they're 5-5, CLG have more rifle rounds in their name.
Can't help but feel like that late rotation from what looked like an initial B play off CLG cost them. I mean, we saw how everybody just got bottlenecked inside of that ladder room and were unable to exit out. When you have a double op setup and you can't assume a line of sight, the likelihood of you getting into the round is slim to none. We'll see if this time, with a split from T-Con, they can find further success. Tarek takes the first kill, but it's Skadoodle removed up close by Ethan. Tarek trading it back, and then he's fully flashed, so he hides as Rush will hold on to Ivy. Shroud dropping the bomb in the process, and all of a sudden, CLG fall yet again. It is only Kusta. And he too removed as Tarek finds his head, and Cloud9 reassume their lead.
And that's just one of the crazy outside rounds that you see so often on Train. I think that I actually like the choice from CLG to go outside in this situation. But as we can see, Tarek abusing the smoke on the Train as Ethan's looking the wrong way. That's kind of luck, and there isn't much that you can do about that. The most you could say is that Cloud9 were able to win more duels, and that's something that you'll probably see as a consistent trend, and it's something to worry about for CLG. But in terms of the strategy, I think it could have worked on another round.
It's been a while since we've seen Ivy pressure here from CLG.
Yeah, that is one thing. On that previous round, and every time they go outside, they've been largely ignoring Ivy. And, you know, let's say this is a round now where you feel like you've lost an inner, you've lost an outer. Let's change it up, let's go Ivy. Well, you have not paid attention to Ivy at all in the last 4 rounds. So Cloud9 know that you're going to try to take control of Ivy. And, you know, unless Shroud's crazy, all this off is going to do is waste time for CLG as they spam smokes.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned it earlier, this passive setup from Shroud is fine when nobody's here. And even now that he sees all of this presence, that he sees this utility, we can see how Rush is up close and nearby.
This has definitely become the more prevalent outside hold where you actually have 2 people holding it because of how important Ivy is. It's just that in this game, it hasn't been paid attention to much by CLG.
Now that they are showing presence, it should foreshadow their execution. Of course, they are still going to apply pressure from both T-Con and Ladder Room, but it's going to be 3 players from inside Ivy itself. Cutler looking to pull the trigger on this execution. Wants to make a distraction, and it's Ethan with a kill. Here comes the tease as they just jump across. Rush completely cleared as Ricky takes 2. Clearing out the corners and the bomb site and giving CLG a fantastic 5v2. Despite there being 4 seconds left on the clock, they get their bomb in and they get another round in the pocket because Cloud9 want nothing to do with this retake.
Yeah, there's no option there. I don't know exactly what happened or why it was that Shroud moved from Ivy to Hell, but him putting himself in that position, giving it up completely when they did have 2 players there to deal with Ivy, is when the passive setup does become a problem. As we were alluding to, it just looked like they were posturing to defend for Ivy in a situation where CLG had not shown any interest in it, and suddenly we're super into it. And we're like, we're all about Ivy. Like that seems a little bit too obvious, but they didn't hold on to it.
So we'll see if CLG decide to reapply that pressure. Of course, this is Ricky's entry. Does catch Shroud with his back turned, so I feel like they were expecting more of a T-Con or ladder presence once Ethan got that first kill. I mean, again, we saw Liquid nailing the timing right, pulling the attention of those A-site defenders as a distraction elsewhere. And that's exactly what happens. But, I mean, it's not like CLG revealed 3 players from T-Con and then the crucial kills come in from that late lurk. No, it's the entirety of their push coming into the backside, and no one sees it coming. So we find CLG all tied up, 6 rounds apiece, and the cross from Tarek goes unpunished. In fact, he gets the opening kill on to Kusta, 5v4, as Stewie looks for another one. Oh my.
That wasn't even a wall bang, dude. Holy crap.
Clears Ricky right out. Now a 3-player T-play from CLG. I mean, where do you go from here?
This is one trend that we've seen from CLG, is they did outside until it didn't work, and they did inside until it didn't work, and now they're doing Ivy until it didn't work. And it's actually Stewie to move from inner to op Ivy, and not even op it aggressively off a spawn, just passively. So he kind of feels like, I need to go and control this right now. And it's actually Shroud to go inner, which is kind of interesting. It seems like a very on-the-fly adjustment, actually, and it makes sense. Now inside is where CLG will go back to. But it's at this moment that Stewie 2K has made his way back as well. Finger on the pulse of this round. Nothing that CLG can do to surprise him.
Yeah, this is that standard setup that we saw not working out for Cloud9 before, when they were unable to hold B. But with a 5v3, they should get this in their pocket. Stu allows the cross, and that's now the bomb on site. But Shroud up close looks to fight, removes Ethan, and then Cutler, stopping the bomb in the process as Tarek comes in from behind. Cloud9 with a convincing win in the 13th round. All 5 players stay up.
All 5 players stay up, and the interesting adjustment there is that Shroud actually starts playing inner right off the bat, and has been doing pretty well as well. So a good on the fly. You have to be ready to be able to do that. You know, if somebody's not playing a spot very well, like Stewie wasn't doing a great job inner. He had a round or 2, but only when he got assistance, only a couple of rounds in. So him being like, all right, me Ivy, you inner, after Shroud just kind of messed up at inner as well, or at, Ivy as well, just made a lot of sense. I wonder if they're doing the exact same thing. No, Shroud's actually back to Ivy.
Yeah, if we've seen 2 players switching position, it's been Shroud and Stu. Between Ivy and that B site.
Now the adjustment is that they're using an op solo inner. It's not the weirdest thing in the world. It's easy for an op to stay alive. You can play very far back or from a number of positions on different trains, hold both upper and lower, and you always have the option to play for an after plant situation as a CT on train on inner.
Stewie's hungry for that peak, but looks like Counter Logic Gaming are content to burn some time, as ramp is also burned. Ooh, tough spot for Ethan. He'll be all right.
Very fortunate to have not had to cross there. And okay. Ethan just runs outside. I guess they're trying to sell some kind of distraction outside with smokes, so it wasn't completely dry.
That's a crucial kill from Finesse, and Kusta catches another. That's Stu off the back of the bomb site. So now it's all on Ska to just at least hold for the rotation to arrive. But look at this positioning from Cutler. He's already so close. And the moment Cloud9 are distracted, he can swing wide. As he finds Shroud and leaves it all on Ska, he is going to retreat. So that's another round for CLG. I mean, there was a moment there where Ethan and FNS were pushing into that A bomb site where Stewie was all the way back towards CT spawn. The entirety of Counter Logic Gaming could have pushed out from upper and gone unpunished. And despite him getting back into position, it's the moment he gets back that he actually gets picked. So it's that window of opportunity that A fake created. Counter Logic Gaming see the window, they punch it wide open, and they break into the bomb site. So awesome round for them. They sell the fake, and they tie things up at 7 apiece.
A key point of that is, number one, that FNS was able to get his trade. At first, it seemed like Ethan died in vain because he ran outside. FNS wasn't there to even make noise, and so that might make it seem like the fake was complete BS. Instead, FNS, excuse me, actually gets a kill, and more than that, they committed 2 players to outside, which is great. So even if those 2 players died, the CTs are still going to take you very seriously because they're assuming that they know at most only 3 can go inner, and they can definitely play it a lot lighter.
So 1 round will be the difference in this opening half, but who takes it is the question. We're left with FNS, jumps wide to his demise, gets immediately taken down. And that kind of play should be punished. So it costs him, but Stewie gets distracted over towards ramp, and down he goes as Ricky looks to assert himself vertically on this bomb site, getting up close and aggressive. But Skadoodle's already rotated from that CT spawn. Rush by his side. In fact, all of Cloud9 have arrived, and it's Kusta with the next kill. Now that smoke's going to allow for Ska to get above and find an angle, but he doesn't hit the shot. Instead, Ricky finds his head and the 4v2, but he's dinked up through smoke as Shroud finds a bit of a response. There's not much time to work off of. Not a single kit, not a single smoke, and only Tarek left standing. He goes rapidly to the top of the ladder, drops the op, but with 14 health, he has no time to win this round. The bomb's fired out, and that's it. CLG, 8-7.
Yep, solid half. That's it. Now we're just going to take a look at some of the highlights here from both CLG and Cloud9.
Some nice plays throughout the entirety of that half. Of course, unlike our opening 2 maps, it is not a one-sided affair. It is very close as can be. And that's a reason for each and every one of you guys to stay tuned here at the ESL Pro League. We'll take a short break in between maps. See you soon.
ESL Pro League is brought to you in part by Intel, the City of Odense, GeForce GTX, Lenovo Legion, Bedway, Pay Safeguard, Logitech G, Mountain Dew League, Xfinity, and ESEA.
Welcome back, boys, girls, and everyone in between. We had a fantastic first half here on Train between CLG and Cloud9. CLG obviously walking away with that 1-point difference. And if there's anything to praise, Launders, I would say that that was a very dynamic first half and T-side from CLG. Yeah, I mean, we saw them hit A, B, and Ivy.
Yeah, that's true. And Ivy is kind of that third thing that's so important that it deserves its own kind of site, I guess. I think it was interesting how they did move from what worked to the next thing that worked to the next thing that worked, and threw in some mix-up as well, and it did give Cloud9 such a hard time trying to keep up with what they would do next. And by the time they figured it out, the half was so close that the only thing that was really keeping Cloud9 in the game was good mechanics, I want to say. Also, there was a good adjustment where they had Stewie hold on to Ivy that one round. That Shroud went inner. They had a good adjustment where they had Stewie pushed up inner with another player to support him while he was at spools. That got him a couple of rounds, bailed them out of a situation where they would have had to save following that round. But apart from that, there was a lot of bad things to say, I think, about the way they played.
How about timings? How did you feel that kind of cohesed? I mean, we saw a lot of moments where Cloud9 were forced into a save. Obviously because they weren't getting into position in order to contest those retakes. And earlier tonight, we saw retakes were the name of the game, at least for Liquid. So I think that comparing those two teams, that's one of the biggest differences, is that Cloud9, if they were able to hold initially, we're going to hold those bomb sites. I mean, we saw it most on that A site, as opposed to B, where they always seem to have to save. To me, that kind of stood out, was that lackluster rotation.
Yeah, certainly. And CLG, again, we're doing a good job, especially on inner, where they were able to sneak out onto the site and then hold for a second, or be able to do some kind of contact play, even on a rifle round where they had so much money to work with, which probably caught Cloud9 off guard. And you know, something you don't typically do, right? It's like not use your nades and hit a site, and then just use 1 or 2, and to be able to get 3 or 4 players out without having to deal with someone spraying them down as they come down the ramp, for example. So that's something I quite like, that I think a lot of teams can get away with versus any team if you have the right moment. And if you watch a round on inner, for example, of any team, that player who's playing inner is not watching the ramp for the entire round. There is always an opportunity, and sometimes you can bait that opportunity out where you can either just walk out lower ramp without using too much utility, or perform some kind of fake.
Got utility on 2 players of Cloud9 here in the second pistol of the first map of the second series tonight.
It's a lot of seconds.
Very patient is this pistol from Cloud9, so not looking for an early bash, but rather a later execution. And CLG, they're fine with this. I mean, we see both Ethan and Cutler to the backside of the B bomb site. Of course, B is such a good site to go for the retakes. And interestingly to note, Cloud9 does not have a Molotov, which is a very common utility play if you're going to go for this late B execute. Obviously, we saw that earlier on, and it's not the case here. So they'll have flashbangs and smoke grenades, which will prevent Ethan from plucking a man early on. The terrorists able to cross and to get into that site. Bomb certainly to be planted, but Tarek's already up close and looks to punch in some teeth. Instead, he gets his head popped, and Shroud looks for the response. It's a lot of damage dealt. Finally, Cloud9 on the kill feed as Rush takes 2. And a 3-on-3 ensues. Cutler quickly trying to get back into this. And the entirety of these terrorists are pinned in. CLG to the top side of the train. They're just boxing in the T's. Rush with another frag, but it's Ricky with a falling 180, adding style points and a round to the board for CLG.
Well, you know he knows karate, so.
Does he?
Expect him to come out of the sky. Yeah. Oh, you didn't see that one tweet?
Okay, I'm shocked by now.
But yeah, good stuff. I mean, again, the only reason it came that close was because Rush was able to get those 2 opening frags, as you mentioned, which were super nice, which were definitely good kills. But even in that 3v3, you see it becomes very CT favored because there aren't many places for the terrorists to stand. And it's not even because Cloud9 didn't pick the best after plant spots. It's like, if you go upper, for example, which is an ideal one on a rifle round, it's not as valuable on a pistol round because you're a Glock versus a USP at such a long distance. So they did what they could, but it wasn't nearly enough.
I feel like you more often than not see that upper play if Molotovs are in the equation.
Right.
But they were not.
It's true.
There was flashbangs.
That's true, as you pointed out.
Those flashbangs did help on the entry. I mean, we saw how Nate was pushed off the top of the train. So they definitely had their place, but that place was not enough to secure a pistol. We shall see if Glocks can prevail towards the A site. Ricky peppering the kneecaps of Tarek, who does eventually fall. Ethan towards B. Well, he's gotten himself a kill, but it's Cloud9 with the bomb plant. The old switcheroo as they distract players at A, hit both sites simultaneously, and find that extra cash.
Solid film to get the plant. So you're reminded that is the birthday of Counter-Strike.
Yep.
Great day to be alive. Catch that major update.
Very major.
It's all caps. And that's unfortunate. It came very close. They were very close to being able to just stop the plant entirely, but because of that extra $800, and we see that Cloud9 have spent almost all their money, if not all of it, they have full nade sets because of that one plant. And that's how important those things are. I control this thing. Oh my gosh, Kusa just runs in after failing to kill Stewie for so long on that previous round versus an AK. That's a ladder in his own hands.
gives him the drive-by. And I was impressed with the amount of time it took Stewie to get into that position. I mean, that was very quick, but precision beats speed.
9 times out of 10.
Then again, it was an MP9, so probably not that precise. Just a lot of bullets.
It's true. It's all up in your face.
Of course, now with Cloud9 being in the 4v5, they've got the utility to execute in, but they don't have that man advantage. It's going to be hard to play off of.
Ivy being poked around at, and not much presence from CLG here. Actually, no counter nades at all. Will Cloud9 use this? Is a big question. And as we see them postured, they can split outer with 2 at Ivy, rely on Rush to try to get an entry. But yeah, they're just falling off. Wow, it's just like no one is watching this. I don't understand how this is okay, but
they're playing for time. 15 seconds left, but now Cloud9 starts to strike. Cutler finding a quick trade frag, and there's only 10 seconds left, so he just needs to survive. Kusta removed from a flying Shroud. But now here comes Cutler, and he is still standing, but Shroud tries to escape. With a second left, his life is removed. So at least he keeps that money moving forward. But what a heartbreak of a round for Cloud9. I mean, you said it, so much real estate was given for free.
Yeah.
They just do nothing with it.
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me just because it's like, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me that CLG win, and then it also doesn't make a lot of sense to me that Cloud9 weren't able to like do more with that. So I think we see when they came out, they could have kept walking, but that time was going so low, they just felt like they had to run. Little did they know if they took a few more steps, they would have been offered up a kill for free and probably catch another player off guard. And with the timing, they could have seen that sandwich player as well. But wow, 5 smokes, 0 flashes, and all for the sake of guising the plant so that they can likely get on the back of the train, bomb train.
However, that bomb site is fully stacked.
Oh, okay, double fake.
Molotovs in response deals 0 damage because Cloud9 just pumped the brakes. Of course, there's the first frag. Tarek gets removed through smoke. And Kusta up close wants another, but that's at least the bomb in here. So Cloud9 are successful in their initial objective. They'd love to deal some damage on top of this, but the retake gets rolling. Molotov burns out Ska. He goes down quite quickly. Rikke with another, and Cutler takes the last. So the 5-point lead now on the board for CLG, and Cloud9 with extra cash in their pockets.
Yeah, that was definitely worth it. 5 smokes is somewhat of an investment, but and the PT50s as well, but they got that plant really clean. That's an interesting strategy. Smoking the lower ramp as well as outside means that you're telling the inner player, hey, don't push. That wouldn't be safe. You don't want to go and die for the sake of, with the risk of us coming in or after this. So that allows them to maybe hold 2 players inner and almost certainly not have anyone push on either side of the map. Just wait for that plant to go down. That's what they did.
Not a play that's necessarily going to put Cloud9 in victory lane, but at least something to facilitate their A plant. So very nicely done. Of course, it nets them lots of guns. An op in the hands of Skadoodle, but Shroud gets taken down. Aggressive play from Kusta, finding that one lone B player and leaving the rest of Cloud9 over on A. Of course, Stewie's already worked his way out. But the rest of his team now a little hesitant.
Yeah. Obviously, Stewie trying to put pressure on Olaf. A spot that you can be very annoying in, and Skadoodle has been baited. I don't know if he's going to check this corner now that presence has been made, but oh, it won't matter. FNS gets smoked out, and there's actually 2 players back here, both making noise.
Oh, Skadoodle gets tagged up, though. Heavily hit is the opper of Cloud9, but the bomb still able to arrive. Rikke from the heavens above reveals himself, dropping Stu. The 5v3 is what we're left with. FNS yet to swing out, but Tarek baits him in, catches the headshot up close, and Cutler takes his place as Cloud9 retreat into the trains themselves. Now Skadoodle's still positioned towards Ivy, and it's not going to be a split. Ethan finding something for CLG, but it's a 2-on-2 regardless. Skadoodle's flashbang finds another kill, and Ska is locking this out. It's all on Ricky, and he too will fall to the sniper of Cloud9. Great afterplant.
Yeah, great afterplant. That is such a dope flash. I mean, he had them both blind for the full amount of time possible. So, you know, and in that afterplant, that time is so important. Critical win there. They do it off the back of taking Ivy, which is a huge win for them. CLG haven't been playing Ivy properly, and Cloud9 weren't abusing it properly, considering the fact that they were giving it up. And now they've really got to learn that lesson. I would, if I were Cloud9, continue to at least make presence there, put a lot of pressure there. I doubt that CLG are ever going to feel comfortable just based on the way that they're playing it in trying to deal with heavy presence at Ivy. But yeah, right now quiet affair on that part of the map. That seems to be the more standard bait that people are using these days, to actually just use your body to see if someone will shoot back.
Who needs kneecaps anyways?
That's right. Tony Soprano quote.
Cloud9 starting to double their way back towards B, or at least moving that bomb closer to it. I feel like that's pretty go-to. If you feel out the entirety of the map, if you see that the defense isn't getting aggressive or trying to make plays, then just resort to that standard B-side execution. I feel like it's definitely the easier plant of the two.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like maybe that's what Cloud9 want to play off of. Just get the bomb in, try to hang on. It's going to be tough here. Smokes go down, Cutler's spray goes out, and it catches the head as Ethan, from the corner, will find two of his own. A solid B-site hold here from CLG, leaving Skadoodle all alone and wondering where his team went. It's a full house on the B-site as Ethan gets his third, Cutler having found those other two.
Gotta say, I'm kind of disappointed at how timid things are. Double smoke lower ramp, and obviously a solid hold from Ethan, who is playing spools, which is just a really strong position to play. And that's typically where you only put your second guy if you think that it's going to be a B hit, almost certainly. You're like 70% sure. You throw two close-up B, you have one at spools. That guy will almost always get two kills. Really hard to kill a guy unless you know he's there before the execute starts. But Cloud9 are not looking for information, and Train isn't that friendly to people on T side looking for it. But at the same time, they are not getting their toes wet at all, and I think that's costing them. And yeah, I mean, like, they got away with abusing Ivy. CLG have not proven that they're playing it properly, and yet Cloud9 are not testing their luck there for some reason.
Try to get that Deagle up front. Looking to pull a man off of the back of sight, but unfortunately for Stewie, he's tagged the moment he peeks outwards. So Cloud9 to revert back into the B-bomb site. They're going to come trickling downwards. And Ethan allows the cross while he catches Stewie. That's not going to be a clear out. The bomb does more damage. Tarek dropped to the mid-20s, and Ethan wants this frag. Now, do they reveal rush? Yes, the fire forces him outwards, and Ethan's still able to catch it. So decent enough from Cloud9. They get that extra bank in their pockets, but even their flank is unraveled. Now Shroud finds one, some damage dealt. That's all Cloud9 get.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not a bad round for either team, except for the fact that Cloud9 can take anything they can get. I think it made more sense for CLG to not worry about denying the plant so much as staying alive. So I actually quite like that Ethan's playing far back in this situation, since it's not dire straits for them, and the only thing that could go wrong is them completely blowing the round in a situation where they're 2 away from match point. And overall, patient play, 3 kills, and he's really been piling it up on B. So
I feel like that's one of those rounds where it's like we congratulate both teams because CLG hold and retake, but then, you know, Cloud9 also get their plant and a little damage. Unfortunately for Cloud9, you can't praise that as much as you would if it was the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
I mean, we're 8-14. They need more than that now, or else they're just letting this win slip. Sure enough, if they keep up this trend, CLG close this game in a matter of time, maybe before Cloud9 can even get those double digits. Now, at least they've been able to afford themselves the full utility coupled with the Kalashnikovs, but no op for Skadoodle to play off of. So it's Kusta alone on the cannon, and Cutler up close towards the box halls. He's got FNS to watch his backside, Ethan towards the ladder. And a little bit of movement here from Cloud9. Some success as they do take Ethan down, but Rikke finding 2 frags before Heat 2's toppled. Kusta retreating to the safety of Ivy will be smoked off, and Cloud9 could still find this bomb plant.
There's a chance here. How weird is Kusta gonna get though right now? He's pushing through the smoke. He denies the plant too. Oh man, and he gets away with his life. Is it really happening? FNS gets a kill and it's just Stewie 1v2.
Stu allows the cross back and 35 seconds left. FNS gets aggressive up close and he'll take it.
Wow.
Creeps his way forward and finds 15 to CLG. This was Ricke's 2K, stopping the first man on T-Con and the second to follow suit. So he does his job. Definitely. Sure enough, Ethan's cleared out for free, but when Rikke cuts off the other head of the snake, all is fine and dandy.
Yeah, definitely. And it did get close there. You know, the fact that a decoy worked to get them down ladder and Stewie getting the opening kill is one thing. Rikke really did need to pick up the slack, but when Kusta decided to right-click that smoke out and push through, that is that's where it's like, okay, that's a really confident, interesting, good play, and it was a bit risky, but if you didn't deny that plant, that round could be over. So good stuff, good heads up move by him. And C9 calling a attack pause might be a little bit late. It's clear that they're keeping things as simple as possible, and I think they've always been a team that could always fall back on their aim, and sometimes it's better to not make aggressive plays if you're like that, especially on CT side where you have the chance to lose one person because of a flashbang, when if they were all playing for themselves, then they're likely to just win a duel straight up, long range, something like that. And I'm not sure exactly what they would be talking about in this situation, but
it's a tough spot to be in. I mean, if you're going to call a pause, you'd almost think that, you know, before that last gun round would have been the time to do it.
Probably, yeah.
So, I mean, sure enough, they're not out of this game. They still have 7 rounds to play with, but they will need all 7 of those in order to extend it. Looking maybe for double digits.
Again, I think it's a little bit too late now.
Yeah.
I want to say, but if it were me, that Ivy has been wide open. It's worked really well. Go back to it.
I mean, we praise CLG for their ability to try new executes, try new plays until they didn't work out, right? They started off with those B hits, and then they transitioned towards A using ladder and T-Con, and then towards the end of the half, they started to employ Ivy. I can't help but feel like Cloud9 need to do that same thing, because despite the small successes they have found, finding bomb plants, finding open executions, they've hit a bit of a wall, and they haven't tried to find a different route.
Certainly would result in more rounds than they have right now, that's for sure. I mean, now with tons of utility, they have favored utility over bigger weapons and are going for a fast T-Con hit.
Finesse stands near sight. Kusta gets burned up a little, and Stewie will pepper him down. Of course, Rikke still standing above, does have the advantage of the M4, but Cloud9 with the advantage of the plant. Skadoodle with a Tech 9 just blasts him off above. CLG have to come in for the retake, and this is a 3-pronged assault. Cutler to the ladder. Rush tries to dodge the flash, and instead he will die. Ethan up close versus Skadoodle will spray away for the next one, and Cloud9 start to unravel at the seams until Shroud stops it. So it seems like Cloud9 might still be in this. It's all on Cutler. With 64 health and an M4, time is of the essence. Knowing this, he starts to retreat, and Cloud9 find another round.
Yeah, I guess well played. That was, wow, 2 players saving their lives as well. I mean, they wouldn't even be able to get, they would have been super low, 3,500. In this round, instead are able to drop. That's a big deal. 6-round differential. They still have hope. That T-Con hit should not have worked that well. Kusta was stuck in a position where he didn't have any information and decided not to move because of it. I mean, yeah, there's all these players running out T-Con, but it's like he's got 2 other teammates outside that haven't shared that with him. Otherwise, he would have certainly either moved or at least turned his crosshairs to deal to deal with the fact that his teammates couldn't stop it themselves.
Of course, Cloud9 utilized a pretty rapid execute in that last round. They kind of had to, seeing as their buy was pretty pathetic.
Yeah.
This time, with the AKs and AWP back in hand, they are just going to slow things down. And of course, these were the kinds of rounds we watched CLG win. We'll see if that pause paid off for more than the one round, and if Cloud9 can continue the comeback.
Yeah. See, look at this. No, like absolutely no Ivy presence from CLG, and it's on the round that Cloud9 are completely walking up it. So you look like a genius if you're not there and the other team isn't either. But in this situation, Cloud9 are just doing what they need to do. I don't even know how that works. That's crazy. What a 2K.
Timing can be so finicky. Costs 2 lives on CLG. Finesse cowering in the corner, gets cleared out by Shroud. And that leaves only Cutler and Kusta. So another one of those moments, Launders, where we talk about how CLG were leaving Ivy open, and Cloud9 exploit it entirely. I mean, of course, that entire Ivy push is only allowed to unfold so easily because Tarek gets that jump out and 2 free frags.
Yeah, but Tarek actually only activated himself because his teammates were all the way at the end of Ivy. So he was like, all right, I'm going to be the first person. As soon as I take contact, you guys are going to come out. He was really just clearing ladder. He was going to continue with that outside hit and then have his teammates come out Ivy following him. So, you know, he was just fortunate to find that ladder, that player at ladder. But with no one contesting them over there, there was no way they could have won. And yeah, I mean, I just want this game to end with Cloud9 continuing to try to abuse it and just like reinvent themselves and see if CLG has any answer for it. That second kill is obviously just a monster flick, like one of the first bullets going right to the head. Tarek has 25 frags, actually.
I mean, if there's one thing that we cannot take away from Cloud9, it's individual ability.
Yeah.
And the skills to kill. So, nice display of marksmanship from Tarek. But as you said, are CLG going to be able to respond to this? I mean, there's a clear exploit in their defense. That was Ivy. The Ivy that this time they tried to stack. So instead, Cloud9 just gear up for a rapid B hit. They already find their entry in, and the AWP of Stu can block off Zed.
Yeah, it looks like just off that one kill, CLG are going to completely give up the rounds. Poor Ricky hits Rush and gets killed by him. 96 damage. So you've got to say, maybe at the worst case scenario, C9 set themselves up to double peek him, so he would have been traded. Rush might have died. Maybe the retake would have occurred. In this situation, it's the worst case scenario for CLG. Instant save just because of how fast that kill came out, knowing that they have no one to give them info on players that are taking the site, and they haven't baited out enough grenades to make sure that the after plant is viable, or the retake is viable. 5 alive for Cloud9, lots of money, and it doesn't really matter how much money they have as long as they're able to supplement their grenades one more time, as long as they can get an op when they need to. And as for CLG, I think that was actually a tech pause.
Still, a good moment for CLG to recompose themselves. I mean, they're going to have that tactical pause in their pockets, as this is a C9 technical pause. But, I mean, so here we have it, right? Cloud9 obviously switching sides. It was a very close first half. And then immediately on the defense, CLG start to prevail. We see them secure overtime. Cloud9 called their pause, and now they've added 3 or 4 rounds to the board. So they've definitely paid off by taking that pause. Again, I think we see them re-gear towards Ivy, exploit that, the hole that we ourselves mentioned. And now all of a sudden, we're just waiting for CLG to find their response. That's kind of the moment here, right? Like, was it too late for them to take their pause? Did they find these rounds too late in their half? Had CLG already secured the W?
Yeah.
So only time can tell, but this would be one hell of a little comeback from Cloud9 if they can get this overtime rolling.
It certainly would.
What an exciting game.
Yeah, it has been. It has geared up to be a pretty good game. And that last round was pretty interesting too, because it just, you know, was a straight up like inner hit, and it seemed like they were really hoping for an Opera to be there the way that they double peeked it. So timing was on point. Tarek taking a little bit of damage, trying to get aggressive in T-Con. Counter flash up the ramp is going to stop any more T aggression on inside. for the meantime, a stalemate as it looks like the Terrorists are just going to set up for a full exec B. Bomb posture here, Stewie peeking out upper.
Ethan caught with a grenade, still able to put up the flames. As Cutler finds one, his teammate has fallen, and that is certainly the bomb now in. But a fairly fast flank as CounterLogic Gaming have two guys coming upwards, and they are going to box in Cloud9. As long as Cutler and Finesse can hold off on the bomb site, then the entirety of Cloud9 are going to get pinched here. Tarek looking to kick his way out of this box. It's Finesse to the top side of the train. Kusta on the ramp, up close. No scopes going every which way, but it's kills for CLG. Tarek taking two, and already Cutler's on this bomb. He's gonna try to stick it. Not like this. Cloud9 lose map 1 as Tarek dies after the fact. What a way to end it.
Yeah, wow, what a way to end it. Congrats to CLG. Good performance. We saw that dynamic T-side payoff in the beginning, and Cloud9 not able to find an answer until too late each time, even with that pistol to their name. So overall, solid performance. A couple of mistakes there for Cloud9, but with basically two new players and one that didn't know they were going to be playing again, not a bad showing.
No, not at all. Especially not after the player break, where CLG is one of these teams that have, stuck to their core, have had just time to practice if they so chose to play. But great game to kick off a second series of the night. We are, of course, going to bring in our analysts and host. So, gentlemen, she's all yours.
Who said it's a she? Regardless.
Are you assuming?
Either way. Yeah, don't assume
I'm
that.
very offended.
I mean, it obviously starts out, I mean, this is a conversation we've had about CLG ever since FNS rejoined this roster, was they just look more dynamic about how they play the game, how they approach it. A lot of that fell onto Imapet, who had a great surge and interest in how well of an analyst and how well of a job he was doing in that role. But there's no doubt that FNS has been great to this team. And again, I mean, shocking opening start from them, just piling it on Cloud9 early on in that first half.
Yeah, even though FNS was not, he was way down in kills and whatnot, but the important part is they won. And the system and how they play is very methodical. They're very patient, especially on retakes. And I mean, it helps. I mean, they beat C9, and they're a playoff contender team, I think, if they can keep this momentum up and keep playing hard and practicing and all that good stuff.
Well, let's stick with this start, because I know you had an inner execute that you wanted to show on CLG that actually turned out really well for them.
So yeah, so on this inner execute, I just like the timing on all the smokes and flashes and how they wait when they peek top ramp. So right here, they're waiting for the Molotov. Okay, let's just wait a couple seconds. A little patient, it's okay. And now they smoke and flash again. They're gonna push the sidewalk together as a team. They're peeking the weather. Nice shot by Cutler. And as he's peeking this right side, Nadi's pinching young Stewie 2K on the side, and it looks very nice. And I just like the discipline and the coordination of CLG, and it really shows that they practice in the server, they dry run, they talk about the routes that they take in the game.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very strong take. Did you see anything out of that as well, James?
Yeah, so one thing I think that helped make this strat work, and it's something that Eric's been talking about for a few seasons here at EPL, because I remember I was going through the analysis portions from last season so I could come here today and, actually talk.
It's showing. You're doing
yeah,
a
so
job.
I wanted to, live up to Eric, be able to stand next to him and say something. But basically last season he's talking about how you do things earlier on in the game, early on in the half, round 1 through 5, that actually set things up through the later rounds. And I remember that it was the second or third round of the half, and CLG did a double exec inner, right? Like they exec and then they re-exec. So this round that we just showed was the next time after that round that they actually went for a full exec inner, right? So that looked like it was going to be a double exec, but they actually just waited for the molly and then went out on a flash.
Well, the cool thing about this game for you, James, is that as the analyst for Cloud9, you're doing two jobs at once. There's two birds with one stone here. So talk to us. What are some things you saw to Cloud9 that you're going to be able to bring up? Because this didn't look like a pretty game, and I think we all expect there to be some rough patches, but still, this was a bit rough for the squad. Everyone outside of Tarek seemed to be struggling a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, frags don't always tell the story. Sure, Tarek's aim might have been on. He might have death matched for longer than other people, or just might have eaten enough cereal today, because we all know Tarek likes cereal. But You know, I wouldn't look too much into it. So I picked out a round.
Yeah, the
yeah. So this is just showing that, you know, they've been together for less than a week, right? So they have a good idea here. Shroud's gonna lurk inside. He's gonna drop his smoke right here, lower ramp. You see his smoke go away, and that's gonna pull a third of the 5 CLG guys remaining towards inner. So this is ripe for outside, right? That guy was out of position. But the guy who wins the round for CLG is the player in sandwich. Gets the bomb planner, right? So see this guy hidden in quad, Cutler?
Yep.
So he ends up sealing the round. So the big thing there is that if you were to draw a straight line from ladder room to the back of hell, the back of green train,
yep.
if the T's don't clear out that upper triangle that includes Olaf, you know, by blue train and the back of green train, like just don't even try going outside at that point. Like if you're not going to clear that triangle out,
too many miscues coming down to like the theory of Counter-Strike and how to clear the box side properly, and that's exactly what they probably haven't had time to do. Not to mention the roster changes, and this is what the second or third lineup they've actually used in matches as well. So yeah, I mean, outside of that, some good things that we can take from Cloud9 early on. I know obviously the big thing is you can't cast doubt on any of the skill they have. Tarek has a phenomenal game. You have Rush, you have Stewie, and you are going to have automatic eventually. But what are the things to work on? Is it just that theory of Counter-Strike of making sure all the fundamentals, all like the progression of taking a bomb site is nailed down?
Yes. They're just going to keep getting better and better, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think that it's going to be an upward slope, and they're going to keep learning on how they mesh well together. Because I know their CT side spots were not what they probably wanted to be right there.
Right.
And it was their CT half, which was the weaker half, right? They should have gotten more, right? By average, you should get more rounds than that on CT half.
Right. Well, either way, they're going to get a little bit of a break. Train was a struggle for them, but the next map is going to be Cobble. So we're going to go to a break as well where the players rest up, get things figured out for that second match. And when we come back, it will be Cobblestone to end the evening. Stay tuned.
Game, record, and stream without compromise on Intel Core i7.
This is your chance to actually make it into the Pro League, be a professional Counter-Strike player.
That's the thing that Mountain Dew League provides.
Kinguin, you know what? If anybody has a shot at 2-0, it's Kinguin. Beautiful Counter-Strike. You usually only see that into the professional level of things.
We are one of the youngest team in top 20. Many teams can underestimate us, and we can surprise them with our tactics, show our Polish power.
Welcome back to the Xfinity Analyst Desk once again. Second map coming up between CLG and Cloud9. Map 1 was trained. CLG took that pretty convincingly, pretty comfortably, despite a late run from C9. But now we're going to have Cobble. Moving on, another Cobble match ahead of us. And this is, again, I mean, what are we feeling on this map? Is this leaning towards Cloud9, leaning towards Liquid? What are we looking here, boys? Or, excuse me, CLG.
I was thinking C9 would come a little more power, but with Automatic being kind of on vacation
not
still.
Power from that first game?
No, they looked very lost and hesitant and just uncoordinated compared to a team like CLG, who showed patience, structure, a lot of just, hey guys, we're not going to win this round. Let's save the guns, and I didn't see that from C9.
Yeah, I didn't want to give a little too much prior knowledge before the map went out, but Tim is definitely the linchpin on Train, especially on T side. And the T side was not the more lackluster side, but Cloud9's usually good for 8, 9 minimum, and they got 7 that time, right? Coming here on Cobble, I'd like to see C9 start T side again. I think they needed to have that delusional overconfidence, because you got to be real with yourselves. You don't have your strat book 100% lined up. Not everyone knows everything. You don't have a deep playbook. You got to be going off of the basics and fundamentals. So be overconfident about it.
Just get loose.
Yeah, just loosey-goosey. Just whip it out.
Whip it out, exactly. When in doubt.
That's a DeBear statement.
So I'm saying if C9 starts T side, they're going to win pistol, and then they're going to take the half 10-5.
10-5, you say?
If they start T side.
If they start T side. Who's the linchpin for C9 on Cobble? Do we know yet? Could it change?
On CT, actually, I haven't even seen them play.
I would say Tarek, because he used to play like a platform position on Optic.
Yeah.
I think platform's pretty important. And I think it'll show of how, like if he's overconfident, say if he's peeking a lot, he likes to push, and like if you cut off that part of the map, I mean the map becomes pretty nice to hold.
That Stewie and Tark are going to be super dynamic around there, right? They're going to be Phelpsing around in the smoke. Like, you know how Phelps plays that tree, puts the smoke on top of the tree as soon as they exec, and then nobody can do anything about it. So this is going to be fun. Cobble's like one of those maps where it's like, it's just asymmetrical, so you can just see so many different plays come out.
Are we expecting any kind of like a double up setup? I know CLG has Ricky, who's primary operator of Renegades during his time there. Now they have Kusta as well. I mean, that's a pretty scary double up setup. And on the Cloud9 side, you made the joke, and I think Tarek first made it into the living meme, is that there's 3 oppers on this team? Yeah,
I definitely think so. I think actually the A, like if I were to put an op anywhere, it'd be A first, right? Because when you're opping the A halls, it's kind of like opping bathrooms on overpass. You get those like fallback angles that are annoying, and nobody can really punish it if you play it correctly.
I like the visualizations here.
We haven't had this on an analyst. Here's the next angle. Here's one more.
Yeah, I kind of understand it just a little bit better.
Yeah. Do you guys have any visualizations for it?
I just want a good game, Jason. I just want smokes and flashes. I want just an explosion.
Lots of like confetti.
Confetti.
Just I want to see a Zeus kill.
A Zeus kill.
I do.
All right. Well, let's see what Betway's going to think of that, because we'll start getting some predictions into this Cobble match. I know you guys were split a little bit earlier, but you could see there, Cloud9. Actually, I mean, it swings again. It just seems like whoever
Look at that flip flop. Look at that.
Yeah. There's not very many loyal people out there, are there, Eric?
Sad world. I'm sorry.
Are you feeling this though after that first game? Are you feeling that CLG's a little bit more favored after watching? Like you said, they didn't seem like they were very coordinated. They didn't seem like they were very focused on some of the post plants, some of the decision making. Are you feeling like CLG has a little bit of an upper hand?
I think when other teams were taking off, CLG was probably the type of team to keep on practicing. They might have taken a week off or something, but they C9 definitely shown that, hey, they've been taking time off. They don't look strong. They don't look on point. And CLG does.
Listen, let's bring in the casters again, because we heard them giggling in the background earlier. So we figure we just get them right in here. Boys, what are you feeling now? CLG looking good to you after that first map?
Never really liked Cloud9, to be honest.
Oh, you're so full of it.
But yeah, if I had
Scotty, get him in line.
If I had any faith, I don't know.
It's hard. It's hard to compose ourselves. It's a very entertaining desk. I love it here, Moses. But I think that CLG was pretty methodic in their holding of that CT half on train, and I think that that's one thing that Cobblestone can kind of play into. They don't have to necessarily go for these kinds of all-out aggressive pushes. We don't need Oppers flanking like we saw on SK earlier tonight. And I think that as long as they're going to have the responses to the executions of Cloud9 and whatever they decide to throw their way on the T side, that CLG can still hold their own and maybe walk away with this 2-0 victory tonight. Yeah. I think that just on an individual level, Cloud9 can still just come to life. I mean, we know that at any given moment, any of those players can just single-handedly turn things up and really make a difficult matchup for CLG. But I just don't know if that's going to happen. That's one of those things where you have to wait for the game to see if anybody does step up in a big way.
Yeah, certainly. I think, excuse me, James made a good point about how opping at A is actually where you would want to put your opper first. Yeah. I think there's obviously the argument to be made that sometimes you want to go for the B plat pick or something like that, but the A is so friendly to it, just like as you mentioned on overpass, where you have these long angles and you have all these spots to fall back to. And you know, you can be sitting up on top of the site on A and watch both long and lower and the lower ramp and be completely safe, apart from maybe your opponent getting a couple of bullets off from very far away with AKs that are not that accurate at that distance, and call for rotations from your teammates. So
also easily fall off the top of the hut. Yeah. Then you're inside of the bomb site. That's a position where unless they have utility, they can't force you to fight. They can't burn you into the open. And as you said, that rotation will have that extra time to come in. So I think James is very on point when it comes to that safety and positioning of Oppers on A. But it is going to be Cloud9 to the T side. And if I'm not mistaken, James said, so long as they win this pistol, it will be a 10-5 Cloud9 half.
Huh. Okay. I think that improves their chances of it being a 10-5 half, like, dramatically, but we'll see.
He is the Cloud9 analyst after all.
That's true, and I deny that.
Very heavy drop-down presence here from CLG. 3 players actually inside of drop itself.
This is funny. This is kind of another parallel that you have with Overpass, where a very common strat, God B's strat, one of his favorite strats is to take all the terrorists, run out long A, and then clear out bathrooms and just like run this train and make sure that no one's forward aggressive at A. It's just a big wide area that CTs will give up very easily. So it's a good idea sometimes to just run a Glock train, clear it out, whether or not you're going to go A or B. And in this position, it does look like they are posturing to end up hitting A anyway, but as we can see, they got what they wanted out of it in that they pushed CLG back into the site. This also is a double-edged sword, though, because it encourages the CTs to play 2 on A. And so I guess it makes sense here that they are focusing on B with no one at long B to challenge this long angle. Quite interesting. Yeah, this seems almost irresponsible, but clearly CLG have a plan.
They must. Of course, those USPs at a distance could pan out, but it's going to be Ethan very quickly tested, and he falls with relative ease as Shroud finds the flank frag over on A. Counterlogic Gaming not sure where they want to go until they've at least cleared him out. Mike hits the dirt, and now CLG will have to force their way back into the bomb site. So clearing up these angles up close was the CTs, but Skadoodle puts a quick end to that. Rick with a bit of a response, and Kusta takes the next. So we are into the 2v2. CTs dueling off as Rick is all that's left. Ska with a 3K already just jumps around the corner, finding safety. As Rick tries to find some more frags, he will find the headshot onto Tarek. It's now Skadoodle, all that's left. And with 7-11 health, excuse me, he takes it.
Yeah, very, very, very close. And good patience from Rick to deal with that plat player so carefully, not freak out when he started to get shot at. Cleans up the headshot, very nice. But around that probably should not have come that close, considering how easily it got in the sight in these first 2 kills from Skadoodle, obviously. So super well played from Cloud9. And again, I think, like, you know, even just having 1 CT up on the plat and just having information on players coming out means your rotates are a lot faster. So even if you wanted to focus on drop because you really felt like Cloud9 were going drop, they could have sacrificed at least 1 dude to play chicken coop or play on plat or play statue or something, and made it a lot more difficult for C9 to get out.
I feel like also when trying to deal with a drop-down execution in a pistol round versus Glocks, it's almost easier to just put
outside
all of your players on that deep B site. Put one in Coop, put one towards flower pots, put one on platform, and give them up that drop-down. I mean, I think that if you're trying to anticipate a drop-down hit, you don't want to fight up close versus Glocks. But regardless, that's what CLG tried to employ. They get pulled between the two bomb sites, very unsure as to what was going on. And I think Cloud9 just get the best of them through and through.
We did see that setup from Taco and Cold, I think, where Taco played with the op on plat, and then Cold played right in front of Rectangle, and then they let the terrorists have drop because they had pistols and they didn't want to give up that much space that easily.
See if this force into the B site shall pan out. Rick8 does catch the head of Ska, and then Kusta gets turned on. Shroud follows suit with a kill on the Galil, and that leaves the two CZs left over. Poor Cutler finds himself alone in a very vast space. So his sidearm shall get nothing done this round unless Cloud9 double all the way back. Fairly easy conversion point for C9.
Yeah, solid execute. Tree player might have caused a problem for them, but again, when you have drop, that spot is compromised, so the fact that they took it so easily means a lot. Stewie likes to abuse drop constantly with the help of his teammates. We'll see him do that not only on rounds like this, but also rifles. And especially when you have the MAC-10, the great part about your T rounds or your T anti-ecos is that if you go somewhere, whoever you put in front is most likely to get the kills, and so you don't have to get all SMGs if you want to save guns or bigger guns into the future rounds, or bail you out of a situation if those SMGs don't get kills in the beginning, and just send them out first. Oh. I want to say Cutler just barely spotted him, but not entirely sure. The Bears wanted a Zeus kill. Well, Ricky's got one, so let's see if he connects.
One of the reasons I like Ricky is that he will not shy away from buying this. Honestly, quite viable. I feel like the Zeus is something that isn't talked about all the time, but I mean, look at this.
Oh, what?
Denied.
Damn.
Stewie 2K.
It's got right under that.
Yep. The old dip and dodge. So never mind the Zeus. It is gone.
Nope.
Which means that the only investment on Cloud9 which remains shall be that which was moved forward by Cutler. That which has now been lost. Tarek takes him down. Ethan with a USP finding one frag and another. Ooh, that's a lot of damage dealt. But only 2 kills taken from CLG. Decent enough considering the investment, but that will be the 3-0 conversion for Cloud9.
The rule of thumb being that you get 5 kills on those 2 anti-ecos, or the eco rounds for you, and you got a whole set of rebuys for the other team to deal with. And with that, you've put them one away from a save. So in this situation, CLG have bought down to 0 and have also gotten an op, so not the worst position in the world to be in. However, they have no kits, so we're be looking to stop this round before a bomb goes down. Otherwise, very low chance of winning.
Shroud tries to just barrel forward, and it costs him, as it does the bomb carrier. Cutler finding 2. And now it's Stu, who chimes in with a frag already. Wants to find Kusta through the wooden door, tags him to 33, but sits on 10 himself, just dodging these counter-terrorists until Ethan gets the best of him and finds that 3v2. Now, of course, the attention of Rush pulled towards Long. That's, of course, where the bomb currently stands. Skadoodle yet to cross. And CLG, they're actually going to put 2 of their players back in drop, counter boost the man over, and hope that the flank can arrive in time, because that bomb's about to go in. It's going to be a marathon here from Ethan.
Yeah. The unfortunate part is that the longer they take, the less valuable this flank gets, because they just they become aware of the fact that that's probably happening. Yeah, and he's not even going long, which plays into Skadoodle's hands.
Yeah, Skadoodle hiding next to Humpty Dumpty finds one on the cross, but Ethan's flank does pay off as he finds Rush on sight. Behind the tree, he falls, however, as Ska stays standing. Of course, he has no utility, and nor does Ricky.
Oh, just barely getting out of the way there.
Oh, but Ricky has no time. He's going to try to fight. Skadoodle should die to bomb. And he does. The op is lost, as is the round for CLG. That's a 4-0 start on Cloud9.
Super well played, of course, like hitting the shots when he needed to. I think the key point here is that Ethan, if he went long A, he could have killed Skadoodle, but that, more importantly, that he couldn't have known that. And sometimes it's better to flank lower A than it is to flank long, and he just basically made a gamble. It also takes less time, and maybe that's why Skadoodle felt comfortable not watching his back for so long. But with all those factors in mind, that 2v3 was only possible because of Skadoodle's positioning.
Very rapid play here from Cloud9, just taking down this defense with relative ease. Sure enough, the M4 of Rikke finds one, but that's after the bomb site's been lost. Tarek takes the plant. That leaves Cutler and Finesse. Now, Finesse doesn't have much to lose here, so he can still play with the CZ up close. Meanwhile, Cutler, he'd love to move that up forward. Cloud9 changing things up quite frequently, not only in terms of bomb site, but also in terms of pace.
Sure, yeah. And on their Anticos, they love to abuse drop with those Mac-10s. So always going to be a kill there because that's such a close position for pistols, and yet it's also a nice fight for Mac-10s, and that's why hotheads meet there quite often. But yeah, at a certain point in the round, it becomes less favorable for CLG, even with their pistols or their light-by weapons, to try to move in to get kills. Instead, to try to hold exits and hope that Cloud9 or the terrorist team in general take alternate routes as opposed to long B, which they aren't able to stop. 5-0 start for our mix pug.
Very skilled mix pug.
Very skilled, the most skilled pug possible, yeah.
Now we saw that double op from SK earlier tonight. Literally used from the 4th round to the 15th on their CT side. My goodness, did it work well. Of course, Rikke tries to get aggressive early on. Pays for it with 3/4 his health. And then has to fall back all the way to the safety of the site. Cutler, however, finds Stu with that UMP. And now CLG have got something to work with.
It doesn't tell them a whole lot. Stewie, yes, he was there, but at the same time, he doesn't play drop alone typically, and so I don't think this means for CLG that it's 100% going to be B. And instead, Cloud9 have actually moved the bomb back towards A. I like that CLG are still playing A forward in this position. 5v4, but they have a lot of support from each other. Oh, actually it started to fall back. Skadoodle kills the man in the door, Ricky. That must have been a nice peek, because I think Ricky was posted on him.
Cutler just has to hold off on long, and he certainly does that. Blanketing Shroud in a bullets. Rush catches the headshot to Finesse. And that's now the Opera of Skadoodle spotted. So, CLG trying to pinch back into the site, but Rush with an off angle finds Cutler, and the bomb has gone down. Looks like CLG will save yet again. Very reserved decision making so far tonight. I mean, I remember the time they lose B bomb site on train, a single player dies, and they call that immediate 4 versus 5 save.
Yeah.
Obviously, this is not the same case, but still another moment where they show level-headedness.
I think they, yeah, certainly. It's always good to save whenever possible. I think people definitely, and Sam Delor, I can't pronounce his last. He writes for ESPN, but he wrote an article on how important deaths are, and that's something that people don't really talk about, and that's why a lot of teams like early in CSGO would just like go and attempt a lot of these retakes in situations where they might win, but they'll probably lose just because they don't value dying that much. They don't value having a gun in the next round, having the opportunity for everybody to have a buy in the next round, and that is a really big deal. It's the amount of chances you have, and especially on CT side, every death is super valuable. A huge reason why they can buy here, for example, full up with the op, in spite of losing that, and Shroud's over at A, which is pretty interesting. 4 players pretty much dedicated to fighting long B. I think if that smoke didn't go down just now, they might have attempted a walkout, and are just going to simply use it to set up for smokes themselves.
Smoke grenade to cover the cross. Hey, we've all been there.
They just walk away slowly. Rush is like, oh, they threw counter smoke. Guys, we gotta go. I've never seen this tactic. Let's get out of here.
All right. So, Cloud9 gonna have to come up with a new idea, seeing as they've almost run out of smokes. Skadoodle still has one.
I swear to God, these guys have like 10 smoke. Oh man, Stewie's down drop though. Couple of eyes on him though.
We talked about how Tree becomes so compromised with a player in drop down, but he does still have Rikke by his side, and that's going to be an active counter. However, Shroud yet again pulling the attention towards that A site as Stu looks to creep on in. Ethan finding the headshot. Rikke takes the next one. His spray doesn't connect further, and now CLG will hold the line. It's Tarek and then Shroud. Both players were lit, and now both players are dead. Counter Logic Gaming to the scoreboard.
Yeah, and you know, as much as we made fun of it, that probably played a huge factor because they didn't go out on that execute. It's hard. It's not really possible to tell whether they would have if that smoke had gone out. But the re-exec late and the adaptation they had to make obviously made things very complicated. So I don't think they'll sweat that too much. Stuff happens. And I'm not exactly sure how much damage he did last round, but CLG don't have that much money to work with, that's for sure.
No, and obviously a hard reset. Kill them at this moment. Much better.
Went way farther.
Tarek wants to try an entry around the platform. Ethan is just underneath him, and he will use his own smoke to try and block this off. Allows for him to catch the kill as Kusta takes the next. Here comes Shroud, flying through the sky and falling to the op as suddenly the 5v2 unfolds. Stu, the next to fall, and Skadoodle's all that's left. Now that smoke covers the cross. He does get in, could find Ethan for free. It's Rikke instead that gets popped, more damage dealt, and Cutler takes the trade. There we have it. Cloud9 tried to bully their way into the B-bomb site. CLG are having none of it.
Yeah, solid hold, you know, from both players close up. I think it was both Ethan, excuse me, and Kusta. From Chicken Coop, very standard positions. From Ethan's perspective, it's like, as long as I dodge flashes, I get a kill on a player jumping out. And for Cloud9, it's, we just need to blind this guy who's playing close up or hope that they aren't playing anyone there. And they couldn't do that. So it seems like that exec has cost them a couple of rounds for a couple of different reasons. But either way, I don't think they're going to want to try that again, at least not for a bit. I quite like the positions from CLG right now. They're somewhat passive, but they're still testing drop. They have both of A's choke points covered. They're maybe expecting to be able to kill Skadoodle. Stewie, however, has made his way into drop and done some damage. What is that blood? If no one has damage dealt to them, is that just my eyes?
I didn't see it.
Might have been server side.
Tarek didn't see that kill coming. Gets taken down first and foremost. Finesse with the next as Stewie gets dropped. And Cutler holds the cross, catching Rush and then falling to Shroud, who doubles down with a headshot to Kusta. Wants another, but will come up with only two as CLG move to 3.
Yeah, and that crossfire was tight from both spots on the site, one watching lower, one watching upper. Cutler's aim has been very on point. Those are a couple of very nice kills from Shroud. And again, if he didn't get those, as a last man coming out who was just trying to salvage whatever he could, that would have been a 5-player live round for CLG. A 3rd round in a row, and a save now for Cloud9. Solid stuff.
Keeping enough players alive each round that they win to accumulate some cash, keep their buys healthy enough. Of course, this is one of those rounds where they should walk away near unscathed. Crazier things have happened. And Cloud9, having the aimers that they do, have those 3 Deegs.
I feel like he's looking at the I mean, I don't know if someone couldn't have peeked, but I wish they did.
Shroud gets taken down as Kusta holds the line. Again, with no smoke grenades, no flashbangs being used on these initial peaks, it's going to be really tough for C9 to win these duels. Sure enough, even at a distance, Scoodoodle catches the headshot. Down goes Rikke. Now he's got the bomb. 40 seconds to play with. So the question is, can he find another?
Can he find 4? That's what I'm trying to see.
It's a little more ambitious than I had thought.
Scoodoodle's the best clutcher on this whole team. This is more than just a clutch, obviously. No armor, no time. But that's what's making it so exciting.
Time, however, his 5th enemy. Ooh, little damage dealt, but that's all that's done. So the
producer just said chicken.
I don't see that on the outline.
Is that in her script?
I don't see it here.
Huh.
Sometimes you go with the flow, Launders.
Yep. We get paid the big bucks.
Speak for yourself.
Blink twice.
CLG down by 2, but re-emerging here. As Cloud9 were off to a fantastic start. Of course, they don't have an op here in this round to duel versus that of Kusta, who does add himself to the collection of CTs over on that B site. 4 of which to get things started. Cutler tasked with the solo A play. Gets aggressive and then falls a little back.
It's interesting to try to figure out what their read is based off of. Maybe the fact that they Cloud9 rushed B 3 times in a row, that's probably why, but that was a couple of rounds ago, so I think maybe they just want to do that initially, and now we have, who is it, FNS actually falling back, so I think he was like, let me support you guys just in case they do that one more time. And then it seems like they're going to go back to the usual play now. Ricky's actually getting into the smoke. I like this.
One of those aggressive yet calculated plays.
I don't think he can see someone's head if they peek, but he can see them jump. I like that you like looked over this. I do that too. Oh man, this game is very immersive.
Here comes the drop down.
Oh.
Tarek catches Rikke just as he moves his crosshair. Could have been the trigger to that execution, but instead these players stay stagnant inside drop. They will have the ability to pinch into the bomb site, but Nate holds his line, and Kusta's the only one to grab a kill. Now, Finesse chimes in with the bomb now dropped. 14 seconds on the clock, and only Cutler standing. 1v3 as Scoodoodle finds cover on the bomb site, certainly able to plant. And there we have it. Cloud9 back on the board, 7-4.
And that's adaptation in a nutshell, right? Instead of simply going for that full-on long B with very little or no drop presence, using a drop split to initiate the long players, because again, having someone come out the back of drop means that people by statue are useless. Nobody can peek the left side of chicken coop. No one can play tree safely. No one can play in pizza. And Ethan actually found a good spot to catch them running out, but stayed with his back turn for too long, and that comes down to timing, but good awareness from Cloud9 to check that even after the fact.
Tarek gets flicked on.
That was a nice flick.
Cutler connects.
Yeah, he'd use a couple of bullets, but that was clean. Ooh. Shroud, I don't think Shroud realizes how close he came to dying just now.
I don't think Shroud realizes he saw his head. And so he walks away. Does Cloud9 sit to the 4v5? I mean, they still have a utility enough to go for an execution. We did watch them take drop-down control before they split into the B site last round. However, being at the numbers disadvantage, they can't really afford many more losses.
Four focused on drop. Shroud being the first man to stray. Oh, Scoodoodle assisting him too, actually.
Yeah, Shroud wants to clear this corner.
They have a molly to do it. It'd be Scoodoodle to lose his scope, though, to throw it. And oh,
timing is superb. Nate finds Shroud with his back turned, and Rikke on the window, looking for young Stu. Stewie jumps through. The timing is on point, and then immediately Cloud9 shift towards the A site. They've got 3 players to CLG's 4. But it's Cutler to take the next. Finesse gets flicked on. Rush with a response and a chance for Cloud9. But there's 10 seconds on the clock. That's a crucial kill from Skadoodle. And a 2-on-2 ensues. With the long lurk coming through. That's Ethan. Now, last time we saw him come up from ramp and wasn't able to get much done. This time, he's got it committed, but Ska checks at the last moment. And with a full bar of health, Ska needs to hold the line. Rush could be so easily toppled, but it's Kusta with a cannon. No rifle in hand. He falls back as Cloud9 walk away with another round.
That was such a lucky round for Cloud9. I mean, just for Stewie to be able to get that kill. Obviously, you know, that has nothing to do. He did everything right. It's just that Ricky pulled out a smoke just as it was. And I mean, it was just as the smoke was dissipating. So, I mean, maybe it was a little unsafe. Maybe you should pull it a second sooner. But at the same time, it was still there. So you got to say that was just a matter of timing. But also, Skadoodle was eyes set on that door for a good 7 to 8 seconds and just turned around. And, you know, that you can credit to game sense, almost certainly. Ethan was still unlucky in that situation, but super sharp with the realization that a flank might be coming through.
The entirety of Skadoodle's play has been sharp here so far on Cobble. 15 frags currently to his name. All his teammates still under double digits. So Shroud looks to stat pad.
Oh, another opportunity though.
Ooh, same spot from Ricky as well.
Yeah.
Finesse caught reloading. Stewie gets aggressive. And Nate gets towards bomb site.
It looks like they're not gonna... I'm like laser focused on this Zeus. He's not moving.
Ethan with another pistol kill. We saw his USP pay off even versus armored players.
Oh, might happen. Yeah! Woo!
Bomb plant still found from Cloud9, but at least Ricky not only gets a Zeus kill, but an op.
Shroud's like, I should have never left PUBG.
Now, can he save it? That's the question. Heads up play. Finding Skadoodle to the top side of the wraparound. And as he hides in Rapunzel, will he save this?
Someone's coming up that ladder. Where's that? Oh, the mall. Oh! Oh my god. Oh my god.
He doesn't.
That was so meta. He just faded back into the void. In disbelief that that just happened.
So Ska gets his op back. Cloud9 get a 9th round. And CLG still sit on 4. Now, a reminder, our new analyst said 10-5 if they won the pistol.
Ooh, getting close to that, Fred, that's true.
Pretty close. We'll see if this is the round that CLG add to the board, as they do have M4s. And they are locking down this bomb site, spraying down the initial 2 entries. As the bomb hits the dirt, Ethan goes high, and Skadoodle removes him from that position. But Finesse still on site, and a fantastic flash as all of Cloud9 get clumped together. And all of CLG arrive on rotation. Kusta burned out into the open, but Rush covered in smoke. Ricky with a TK and FNS with another frag. Back to the 2v2.
Oh no. They're actually going to lose this round.
So they want you to think. But Cutler's coming back in as the smoke does fade. Ska with a shot down range. Cutler sees the trajectory go high, so he knows that Rush is near Ska's side.
Smoke. This makes things very interesting. So much more to work with now once that smoke dissipates. Oh wow, too quick, man. He's too quick.
Rush with the immediate headshot finds Cloud9 the round, but a very frantic clash on that B bomb site, I'd say. Launders?
Yeah. And at this point, it seems like Cloud9 should certainly win this round. I think that, I mean, one of the points I was going to bring up if Cloud9 lost that round, because that was another full B rush that started out strongly in CLG's favor. It was 4v2, right? So, you know, that was a full B rush with no attention to drop. They've lost. They would have lost if they lost that round 4 out of 4. So they're 1 for 3 on that type of execute. Whereas on their drop splits, I guess if you don't count eco rounds, so they tried 4 total, they're 2 for 2 or 4 for 4. And it's kind of like, why change that? It's not, you can still rush B and have your last 2 players go drop, or have one person go drop and either abuse with mollies or just make presence to hold rotations or fight. And it seems like there's just not enough ways with that one choke point at long B to make 5 players be useful. At least what I've learned from watching these rounds from C9.
Stewie looks to lead the charge. However slow that charge may be, despite his patience, Cutler is killed. Finesse tagged up heavily thanks to the frag and pushed back by the Flames. Pop Flash was ambitious, but didn't go all the way out. Regardless, it's Finesse to the backside of Eric,
no!
But he gets turned on and smothered to the side of the wall. Kusta responds back with a CZ. Rikke with a Mag 7 blasts rush from the skies. But now it's just him and young gun Ethan, all that's left. He connects with the AK and goes for the crazy spray. But it's stopped in its tracks as Ethan's all that's left. Of course, he does spot Stu thanks to the smoke. And so he knows. But what's he gonna do about it with only that sidearm? 20 bullets in his collection. Skadoodle up close, goes down, quick headshot. So Ethan needs another, and he knows exactly where Stewie is. Stewie's gonna retreat to try and buy time, and Ethan has no kit, but he does have the, he does. Still double flash. Does pull Stewie back, but it's not enough. Cloud9 take it, 11 for the half, Launders. What started off with what looked like a little CLG comeback was then turned back around by Cloud9, and my goodness, did they ever assert themselves. A pistol could win out the rest of this game. You're all gonna have to stay tuned to watch the second half of Cobble. We'll see you after a short break.
ESL Pro League is brought to you in part by Intel, the City of Odense, GeForce GTX, Lenovo Legion, Bedway, Pay Safeguard, Logitech G, Mountain Dew League, Xfinity, and ESEA.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the ESL Pro League. We have one half left here tonight on the first day of this season. It's been a pleasure so far to cover Cobble between CLG and Cloud9, and I'm very excited to get this next half under wraps.
Maybe one more Zeus, maybe one more Miss Smoke. I don't know. Anything. Anything, and this game would be perfect. So far, it's been a pretty good map so far for Cloud9, who were able to get away with murder at B more than a couple of times. CLG were able to stop a certain type of hit that involved them focusing all their attention along and no one to drop when typically you split sites just because it was part of their rush. And moving into the second half, I'm actually quite curious what James would say about what to expect, but can't beg for that kind of insight.
No.
Just yet.
And I am not James, therefore
Yeah.
I can only offer limited information.
Limited, just literally because of the way your name's spelled.
Yeah. Oh, all right. So I think that, at least personally, from the insight that I can offer, I would think that it was a very inactive CT side from CLG. We didn't really see them make any big plays on that defense. And I mean, this goes back to the conversation of what CLG do best, which is generally just kind of this like methodic CS. They sit back, they try to respond to whatever their opponents throw their way. And while they successfully held back Cloud9 on Train, I don't think that's the case here. I feel like that B bomb site was overwhelmed way too often for CLG to really deal with. Even in those moments of like 2 versus 4s with the smoke grenades and the flashbangs all over the place, I can't help but feel like Cloud9 just bested them in those very frantic moments. So, I mean, compare this to the defense of SK, where we saw all these pushes from long A, those counter boosts inside of drop down. It was much more active in their playmaking, whereas CLG kind of came up empty-handed.
Yeah, that's true. They're a lot more, SK were a lot more proactive on Cobble, which is a map that a lot of even top pros will tell you that you can't do anything on CT side, and it really did require just very careful, perfect timing, and in situations where you have a lot to lose, and that's partially the reason that you can get away with it, but at the same time, it's not a risk that a lot of teams will take, including CLG like we saw in this map. So they still got a new half to look forward to. And I want to say that the game is still up in the air. We saw a much better CLG last map, and I don't think one side will be telling, especially for Cloud9, who have a lot of questions to answer for themselves.
Yeah, and I think that I mean, obviously, when it comes to executions and the ability to find kills, that's something that Cloud9 are going to definitely have in their pocket. But in terms of responding to what CLG will now have the pleasure of throwing their way, you know, you can always find exploitable rotations and stuff like that when you have these newer teams on a CT side. So again, this is a very talented Cloud9 roster. We expect them to succeed in the future moving forward, but the question was going to be, are they going to show up here tonight on the very first day of the season? They didn't really on Train, and they certainly have in the opening half of Cobble. But here we go. Without further ado, the final half of the night. CLG to the T side with a smoke and molly, and Stewie with only a quarter health.
Yeah, instantly salty. That's one of the worst ways to start out. But I think what he did do is just go and peek for information with maybe the best spawn, and you should be able to get a free peek off. I mean, he probably took the first bullet that came his way, and that's the only reason he is at a quarter HP, but probably thought it was somewhat safe, as would most people. And now has, with that information, asked for a couple of rotations. So there's actually 3 people here. And yeah, Cloud9 aren't falling for anything. Wow. Uh-oh. Oh.
Nate turns on Stewie, who is cowering to the cannons, and comes up empty-handed. Skadoodle on the lurk finds Ricky in the Matrix, where the Deagle pays dividend and connects to the head. Next up's Tarek. He too dead. Shroud is all that's left. And while he peppers away towards Kusta, he'll take himself the 2K. CLG with a flawless pistol round.
Yeah, flawless. Everyone win their duels. Ricky getting a long range 1D. Stewie got destroyed. Damn. That's a tough one. And here's Kusta with, I guess, 2 kills. Just to close it out. Why not?
Yeah, holds off that frantic, last desperate rotation. And there is a frag on Shroud, a couple flashbangs, so a few bells and whistles for Cloud9 to play with. They're actually going to go for the A stack.
An A stack versus what looks like an A clear. So, I mean, technically, if they use their nades properly, it's still going to be difficult for Cloud9 to do anything, but they're all standing in positions that don't often get Molotov'd out. So it depends how aggressive they get. This could be a pretty good kind of cone fire.
If Rush can take that first peek, then the CZ of Shroud up close could be so deadly, and he spots the shadow, takes the first, but Rush comes up empty-handed. Sure enough, CLG clearing out 2, but Skadoodle with a kill to FNS. So we're still left with a 3v3.
Yeah, this is absolutely where it gets terrifying for CLG. Ricky is really low, which means just he is super prone to dying, especially to pistols. It's very different if the other team has an op or something like that, I mean, pistols are going to be in positions to just like try to get as much free damage off as possible. So being low is extremely dangerous. Clearing out A, however, oh wow, Ethan ran through even completely blind. That's just really good by him, but fortunately for him as well, there was no one there. And Cloud9 have not moved really. One person dedicated, that's Tarek, who's sitting on default. They might not expect this, seeing Skadoodle rotate in like this.
Oh, weird angle from Ethan. Uses the tip of the ledge to get that little advantage upwards. Tarek spots the shadow, but Ethan catches the kill. And so Stu's all that's left. Long range hit on the CZ. But still this 1v3, very tough spot for him to be in. Will wrap to the backside of the site, could go high, but instead goes wide and sprays for another.
Oh my god, it's not over.
No, he swaps to the P250, and Rickey's so damn lit. Kusta's up close in the corner of the stables, but the swap to the AK costs him. He's caught pulling the bolt, so he goes down. Valiant effort, but effort's not enough.
Definitely. Thought only counts for so much, and Tarek just turns off of Ethan as he sees his shadow. A little bit too late. Close call, good reads from Cloud9, both on the initial A setup and the call to not move from there. Red CLG completely, and they'll remember that. Now it's going to be, again, 5 CT is where the bomb is being postured towards, so I think that was just for the nades, however, and it looks like CLG will be moving towards A. FNS going to be hanging back, but nothing super fast or aggressive like we saw from Cloud9 with their drop plays. And yeah, just the complete walkout. So the value of this is that you'll often catch people like shoulder peeking and stuff like that. You don't bait rotations. Get in positions where you can completely stop rotators, and like now the CT is just completely useless. Whereas if they executed, they would have at least had to deal with rotation. So the drawbacks are obviously the fact that, you know, you're not guaranteeing anyone's blind, but that's a toss-up anyway sometimes.
Another advantage is really pinching their pennies. Not having to use any of those grenades means they won't reinvest in the next, but Ethan will have to because he's gone down. Of course, he was making money with that MAC-10, as is Rickey. CTs would love to walk away with a gun here, but oh, Skadoodle gets spinal tapped.
Oh, surprised he gets that kill. 3 kills, lots of money. 2,700? Do that math right.
Is it?
Is it 600 per?
I'm gonna let you squirm.
Ugh. It's 600 per, 1,800. Okay. Yeah. Never do math live.
No, I was gonna say that, but unless you're very confident.
I still wet my bed sometimes.
Get it all off your chest, Launders. Got an op in the hands of Ska, but no nades on his belt. Barely any nades for all of Cloud9, really. They go for that preemptive B-site stack, see that there is no aggression from CLG, and then start to shift Shroud over. But I mean, we talk about CLG's methodic Counter-Strike. Regardless of where you end up going, clearing out long A slowly is always a nice setup on Cobble. You know you have the time to play with if C9's playing respectfully and not getting hyper-aggressive. So this is what they do. Clear their corners, assume some control, but Ska's still up close in an ambitious angle.
Ambitious and could easily get flashed off of this. It's like almost aggressive enough that it's a good off angle, but I could totally see him getting flashed here. Oh, dry P comes out, Cutler goes down. He was really ready to take that fight, but...
Yeah, it tries to pre-fire and everything. Here's those angles that James was talking about. You can fall back to the safety. Luckily, Shroud's there to trade as Ska's shot goes wide, and this allows Finesse to find the flank. So, the opening is apparent. They charge back towards the B site, bomb towards Platt, Ethan towards drop, where he does catch Tarek in the open. And yet Finesse is yet to cross. Oh, Rush kills Ethan off the top side. And that leaves the IGL to clutch. 1v2, he finds the first, and now he knows where he is. Shroud stuck behind the stones, but Finesse doesn't see
my
it!
God, no way!
And that won't matter, because he sprays him down regardless.
Oh my God.
Last second kill, crucially taken by Finesse. CLG to 8, and 3 points the difference.
Man, Shroud thought he was getting run up on. That Finesse had no idea he was still there. Wow, and Shroud did all that too. Oh, what a way to go. Damn. And into a save. Holy smokes.
Already another headshot for CLG as they try to entry in. Ska up close takes 2. That's huge. But now CLG just slow things down.
Derek seemed to have a really cute off angle. Didn't get cleared. But who's he gonna fight? Oh, he's not even watching anything. This is good. I mean, this is a way to close the distance.
Hiding behind the flower pot. Not that it's gonna help. Cutler finds him, and the next. That's rushed down for the count, and only Shroud left standing. Now he does get an opportunity to close this gap. He will get up close. This is 2 players stacked. They're on the site. He sprays, but Cutler will take him down.
Good damage, but also good entries for CLG to get in there. I think it could have gotten way uglier, especially if Tarek Got Away was sitting in that position for long enough, and Stoodle very fortunate at the second kill, right on the head just before dying. Close call, too close for comfort. Buy comes out nonetheless. No one has too much money. This is turning into a real massacre.
This buy is healthier from Cloud9 in the sense that they have more grenades to play with. More kits as well, but not the opening pick. That's Ethan's.
I don't think they even bothered flashing that. Just went out for a wide peek.
Even versus Skadoodle earlier when Cutler tries to duel.
Yeah.
It's just dry peeks.
There's like really no reason for it. Just flash.
Sending a message, Launders.
It's like there's I guess if you wanted to or intended to walk out the whole way, then you got to take those risks. But he had to make a step to make that peak anyway. So it's like, and no, everyone's going to be anticipating a flash that early anyway. But if you spend $200, just see if he's there.
Ricky doesn't check the corner, so down he goes. Shroud still standing as Tarek takes the kill, but Kusta finds the trade. Flash goes flying upwards as Cutler takes Shroud down. Now Rush is on the other side of the vent, does catch Ethan mid-spray, but then he puts himself on display. Easy cleanup from Finesse, catching him on the cross. Double digits on both sides of the score now as CLG start to mount a comeback, and this time Cloud9 call their pause by the looks of things earlier on.
Yeah, good time to call a pause. I think Cloud9 are in a position where they're getting close to tied up. There's no reason for them to force their hand, but at the same time, they've got so much money that they might want to think about how they're going to use it if they want to get a couple of nades.
Yeah.
It's probably not worth getting Fomuses because, again, they're not in any kind of danger of losing the game quite yet.
Yeah. It's the old twofer pause.
Yeah, it's tough when you have a round like that where, like, Skadoodle should have hit that shot. You know, like, that was standard practice. CLG had a dry wide peak. Like, that's supposed to be the operator to get that kill, and then this 5v4, or he gets traded up 1-for-1. It's still a different round. You don't hit that shot, doesn't mean that your whole strategy was wrong. Your whole setup was bad. And that's important to remember as well when you're in that position. Like, I could do that again, I'd probably win next time. It wouldn't happen again. Maybe his angle could have been tighter. Who knows?
Cloud9 off of the pause. Coming in with pistol arrows aplenty. Couple sets of Kevlar. And 1 set of grenades. Those grenades belong to Rush. CLG anticipating Cloud9 having some kind of set strategy. I think, intelligently just set themselves up. If Cloud9 had decided to go for a rush, it would have been caught in the open. But now that they see all is well, we're going to watch CLG make some moves. Nice frag. Good bank angle.
Counter smoke to hold on to E-Box. Even when they just have pistols. That's what's actually going to make CLG think that they're full buying. Or they'll at least pretend it is as if it is. I just wonder why he had a smoke or why he used it like that.
Shroud got curious over towards long. Doesn't get caught out of position, but he is revealed. Oh, big kill from Shroud, but Rikke is able to trade it back. Finesse tries to get into position, but it's Cloud9 to get into the bomb site. Smoke to block off door. Rikke dropping rush, but Ska taps away with the CZ. And I don't think they know there's a man in backside. So if Skadoodle can distract, then he can swing wide as Tarek comes in from behind with an op as Stewie drops that bomb. There's 6 seconds left. Finesse needs the plant or the kill to boot, but he's gonna find neither. Cloud9 able to win despite the weakened buy. That is kills on 4 players. Everyone does their job, and the last man gets away.
That's really the tough part. There was no hero play to point out. It was everybody pitching in a little bit, and obviously hitting shots they should have never gotten away with, like Skadoodle hitting that CZ bullet on the player coming up the ramp, Shroud getting that 1 dig on the player all the way back in the site. Just stuff that's a result of incredible aim and aim alone. And yeah, I don't know. It's tough to say like CLG could have been better at trading in that situation. Sometimes that just happens. Wouldn't even say they played it all that badly.
Again, an initial grenade dealing a smidgen of damage. As Ethan's taken to 81.
Like they could have tried to be aware of backside, but they didn't have enough time by the end of that round to plant, so it's the only kind of takeaway, I guess.
And again, clearing out drop down with their deployment of grenades. Nicely timed on the smoke, allows for Rikke to get in. Molotov bounces onto the other side and will pop. Everyone for CLG in position here to just collapse down onto the B bomb site, but Cloud9 have an anchor in Tarek. He's actually going to decide to cross because he gets burned out. Will escape with his life, but now he's just going to have to hide inside the flowers.
They don't have any nades to get him.
No. And they have players on site to distract. He's still able to take one, and then it's traded back by Kusta. Rikke taking the next as Kusta doubles down and leaves Ska alone for now. Shroud on rotation, catches Cutler, and Skadoodle dropped up close to the AK. And so Shroud tasked with the clutch. Kusta has the angle and the kill. The op pays off in that round as CLG close the gap to 1.
Okay, I don't know how Skadoodle didn't hit that shot on whoever just came out of drop, but at the same time, considering how the last round went, I'm gonna go ahead and give this round to CLG. They probably should have been able to steal back the momentum anyways. I think unfortunately though for Cloud9, this could cost 2. They're gonna be buying up on this one. Did they recover an op, or does Stewie just have so much money left over that he could buy one? Either way, he's gonna be using it. CLG have a full buy to deal with. They don't get a kill just yet, even though some damage is dealt. And, okay, Ethan's getting very aggressive, so.
It's Stewie who's posted up on this angle, so Ethan could overstep the line. Does catch Tarek in the open. He was the only other player with a primary gun, and he crosses as the smoke fades in an untradeable position. That's costly. It's at least the opening bout that Counter Logic Gaming wanted to walk away with.
Someone should be going to get that. Was that an M4?
Scout.
Oh, Scout.
The Scoot. Now, this Shroud's up close. He could catch Finesse or Kusta off guard.
Power of 1920.
Flick, not gonna happen. Almost looked like he wasn't gonna check it. Now, Cloud9 have gotten into position. Everyone's arrived, including that Opper, but it's still mid-transition. Stu jumps all the way out and finds Kusta first and foremost. Skadoodle with a deagle finds Finesse next. Cutler able to trade it back, and down goes the Opper. So Rush has to come up very big, and instead he goes down. 12-12 the score, as CLG have turned things on their head.
Indeed, a much better example of how they should play their anti-eco out. I mean, and again, a lot of the reason why Cloud9 won that previous one was because, oh wow, I hit him with a little bit of spam too, but yeah. A lot of the reason they won that, or they lost that last anti-eco, was simply that Cloud9 hit amazing shots, and CLG kind of doing the same thing. Slow, methodical A hit, or able to come away with enough safe duels, just close it out.
I feel like CLG is just through and through playing safe Counter-Strike.
Sure, yeah. Except for those dry peaks.
You need a little risk in your life. Almost as risky as a B-site bomb stack.
Another situation, they walk A versus Cloud9 stack on B on a full eco round. So just a solid read from CLG, and it has been reads back and forth. We have seen Cloud9 pick the right side to stack at times, and CLG run right into it. So it's not been a one-sided affair for sure.
I mean, I can't help but feel like, you know, as questionable as those dry peaks on long AR versus the gun rounds and versus the op of Skadoodle, which is occasionally in position, we also now have at least 2 rounds where CLG walk long A, make 0 contact, and are able to find this B-site stack completely for free. So, I mean, it's like, it's one of those moments where if you find contact on long A, you either trade frag effectively, or you just reposition towards that B rotate, and if you find nothing, well, you find a free B round. So I feel like CLG have really been using this A site more than anything else. A couple of rounds, sure, we see Ethan get like hyper aggressive on platform, but for the most part, A's been their bread and butter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you feel like that's a strategy that's viable all the time, or do you think that Cloud9 are just leaving this unchecked?
No, I think it's just really good to do on certain anti-ecos, but you don't like if you think someone's opping, you don't walk out, right? Like if you think someone's just posted, you don't walk out. Or you wouldn't call that. And they have picked a lot of the right rounds to do it. And I think that, like, unless they're completely sure, they wouldn't do it. And I'm not even sure they were planning to walk out that one round that Skadoodle off them. We can't know that because they made contact.
Grenades.
Good flashes.
Executing inwards. Tarek up close, sprays for almost 2, but it's Stu instead, as Finesse finds another. And an immediate 3v3 as everyone pumps the brakes. Calm falls upon the bomb site as Rush falls back towards the gap. Cutler towards the door. Shroud will lock down the windowsill, so Finesse is going to double back, just clear out the flank and ensure their backside safe. Meanwhile, Pop Flash allows for Cutler to peek, and that pays off in dividends as now it's a 3v2. Shroud and Skadoodle still up close. Very compromised positions.
Yeah. Only free man right now is Shroud, and he's going to make a read or an adjustment or choose to not move. Everyone on the T side just wants to wait. Skadoodle wants to wait. Shroud decides to make a move, ends up dying. In 2v3, there's so much incentive to try it.
Yeah, timing works in Finesse's favor. And now that bomb works towards the A site. Skadoodle left chasing ghosts.
This is really smart because they know that if they leave someone in drop, that he can control a rotation, listen for Skadoodle, or simply wait if he comes into drop. And they also know that he's almost certainly at B, so they have an open sight until someone makes contact at drop, or that guy has walked all the way and they can beat him here.
In the nick of time, the bomb is planted, and Skadoodle's left all alone. So, 14-12 now. And remember, this was an 11-4 half.
Yeah.
I mean, an immediate turnaround. Unfortunately for Cloud9, when they finally win a round, it's an immediate hard reset.
Yeah.
So that's just one of those moments where desperation now starts to sink in.
And that the only I didn't even realize this. The only round they won was that eco.
Yep.
That's pretty.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Especially when we earlier tonight see Liquid come up so empty-handed on their T side, right? On their T side, the only second round they win is off of this like sporadic pistol buy when they just all get desperate towards the B site. Now it's Cloud9 on the CT side, winning only on that eco.
What do they do here? Honest, I don't. It must be tempting to try to buy something. Spend a little bit too much money, maybe. And it looks like, yeah, they want to at least get armor behind the op. They might not be able to see an op again this half, and they don't, you know, people don't want to play match point, even if it makes sense to. Especially considering the half that they've had. And just as we talked about at the beginning of this half, this is it's like every single half is very different. Different set of problems, different set of benefits. That's an interesting flash, wow.
This is a three-man stack. Rush's position had been used before. He is able to fall back to the corner, and he's still alive here.
Did so much damage, too. Oh my god.
Tarek cleans up shop. Doesn't deal the damage, but will take himself the kills. But Ricky hears all of this. He's going to catch them as they double back. Down goes Tarek. Rush is up next, and they both fall. So Stu was needed in a very big way. But Kusta takes his head, and CLG take 15 now. What an incredible comeback.
Yeah, it's actually a massive comeback. 11-4 half to 15-12. And as we see this, we're like, oh no, not another eco, not a second eco in this half, not this late in the half. After such a great comeback from CLG. There's actually a double off adjustment from Cloud9. This might be what they need to get back into it. I mean, history would tell you that CLG have this round wrapped up, but the best way to avoid that is to avoid history and try something new.
What's Ricky doing? Very, very passive A-hold.
Yeah. That's the crazy part about A. When you push out there, that's one of the reasons people won't do it. Wow, Ethan. Oh. Oh, wow.
Oh, and then baits the peek from Tarek.
That's a rip.
Disgusting.
Destroyed Long B, and he was flashed, so he couldn't even help Stewie.
That's one of the only rounds that I can remember Cloud9 getting aggressive from platform.
Right.
Stewie gets baited in because he spots Ethan to the top side. Ethan swings out, gets the kill, and then the old bait and switch on Tarek.
Every single person winning a duel now. Skadoodle and Rush, the last two remaining.
It's going to take a huge clutch from the Opper and one of their newly added players.
Look how slow they're moving, just waiting for a mistake with the time that they have left. I think they do want to pull the pin soon, though.
Yeah, just in the case that that bomb gets dropped or something along those lines. Rush is capable of going big, and he does drop the device. Skadoodle dropping bodies as he no-scopes the second, but Ethan is there, and numbers prevail as CLG give us one hell of a comeback on Cobble.
Solid stuff. Again, 11-4 half to 16-12.
Yes.
Yeah, one round one. Unbelievable stuff.
Damn.
Damn.
Kind of leaves you grasping for words, Launders. I mean, James did say it on the desk, 10-5 half. He nearly got it with the 11-4, but I don't think that even he, the analyst of Cloud9, could have seen that second half coming. We'll see what his thoughts and those of DeBear's are as we throw it back to the analyst desk to close things out.
It's always possible when Kusa's involved, isn't it?
He's a very good opper.
Big Kenneth S.
But he had a lot of those clutch no scopes. You know, he's just rushing in with the team. You know, I'm an entry opper. Why not?
Yeah, either way. Okay, so let's start from the beginning. Cloud9, you said they win the pistol, they get a 10-5 half on the T side. You were wrong. They got 11-4. They had one better. They still let it slip away. A really nice comeback, but I mean, you have to feel like Cloud9, these CT sides that we've seen out of them, this seems to be the struggle of a new team, is finding that cohesion, finding that chemistry on rotates, the communication required to get people in position at the right time, and they just collapsed on the defense.
Yeah, I think it was a little bit overconfidence on just like the outlook of CT side. Like the first time they buy guns, they have a total of 4 grenades running out of spawn.
Yeah.
Like that's just not going to fly against a team that's very thorough in their approach. Like they've played CLG for the past 3 or 4 seasons. They know the way they play. They know it's very default, thorough. Like especially on Cobble, you need nades. So I mean, as soon as I saw that, I was kind of scared. And then, sure enough, you know, for the rest of the half, the only round they win is a pistol save where they overstack the A site and just get lucky.
Yeah, and I mean, before we move on to CLG and talk about how well they played, I mean, again, Eric, I know the one big topic conversation we had was that weird buy towards the end of the game.
Yeah, I was talking about how I think it was Ska.
Tarek has a scout, and then there's 3 pistols.
Yeah, there's 3 pistols. There's an AWP on Stewie, and it's like, you know, the match is still kind of close. It's not out of your reach yet, but once you start overbuying and just like doing something impulsive, like what Stewie was calling, he's probably just calling AWP because he thinks he's going to make the play, but he didn't make the play, and now it puts his team in a bigger hole than once they were. And I think this is where you need the IGL, an in-game leader, to say, guys, let's take Tim out, let's slow it down, let's just, you know, because they're just, like, you're up so much and you're losing, you're going to be mad, you're going to be upset. You got to keep that down.
Is that more of a tilt buy or trying to do too much, trying to think that you can make something happen?
I mean, I feel like it's hard to label somebody as tilting, right? Because you never know, but if let's just say, let's say that's the 3rd map in a major of the final. Or even a playoff BO3, 3rd map, it's 12 all, you just got reset. Do you do that buy? Most likely not.
Yeah.
Like in my opinion, most likely not.
Fair situation. Now let's move on to CLG. Let's talk about the winners just a little bit because, once again, this T side out of CLG, we talked about it on Train. Very, very good. You know, very, very solid all across the map at hitting different locations, being dynamic, keeping Cloud9 on their toes. This is a team looking very well prepared, despite the fact that we mentioned in the pre-show, lost their coach, lost Amapet, who's got a very good reputation going for him right now, still managing to put solid performances up.
Yeah, I think with CLG, they have a pretty good system, and Ryu is pretty, you know, he's kind of the same way as in terms of, you know, old school kind of player. You know, let's have some defaults, let's mix it up, and let's watch the replays of the other team, see what they got. Even though C9's a new team, you know, they still have tendencies of the players on what they do, like Tarek likes peak platform and whatnot. And it just really showed that even though Amapet left, you know, they still have a base to work off. While C9, they have new players, new roles. They still got to figure that out. And especially without an in-game leader, you know, it's hard to adjust on the fly in-game when you just only been playing for a week.
Yeah, and on top of that, which we haven't mentioned, is that Ryu was the manager of NME and Selfless when Kusta was coming up, right? Kusta was like, oh man, like this guy's going to save it, right? This guy's crazy opper, came up through the ranks with Ryu, so they already have that, like, probably clear path of communication. So it's probably some good coaching going on there.
Bond of fellowship.
Yeah, fellowship.
So to speak. Either way, that's going to be it for the matches tonight. If you guys want to check out some of the VODs, if you missed anything earlier, go to youtube.com/ESCLCS. Directly where you are watching this stream right now. You can catch all the VODs there, both from the European division and the North American division. That being said, let's check out the matches that you may have missed earlier this evening, and you can have it up on the screen. On the main stream, we watched Liquid and SK duke it out. They went 1-for-1. 2-0 win for CLG over the newly formed Cloud9 roster, and on the B stream, it was 2-0 for Optic. That second match they have there was won by Optic 16-10 as well, so they're 2-0. NRG takes out Splice, and then the second map is still going on, so you can actually tune into that right now if you would choose to through this very same browser. Let's check out the European standings as well, because I think they went on today. And there's, I mean, much like the North American division, there was some interesting roster changes over there. And actually, we're not going to check those out. It's just going to be the NA ones that we already went over. But still, I mean, why don't we, since I brought it up and already messed everything up, let's talk about the phase switch, the Guardian and Olaf. Are you guys pretty hyped about that?
I was pretty hyped for Olaf. As Guardian, he was kind of slumping, kind of weird thing with Team Na'Vi, and apparently this new team kind of enlightened him, because I believe he was tearing it up on Overpass, like just top fragging and just, you know, showing some of his own self.
Nico was turning it up in the first map. Up on the screen here, you have the North American standings. That's just for one day, so let's not get too overexcited. But obviously, CLG is going to be happy. I think Liquid's going to be pretty happy splitting with the best team in the league, perhaps 1-1 early on in the season. So that's got to make them happy to have those games behind them. Let's check out tomorrow's schedule of what we have coming up for you when you tune in. Then Misfits taking on CLG, so we get to see more of this this pretty good-looking CLG, if I'm honest, taking on Sean Gares and crew, and then SK Gaming once again taking on their former organization, Luminosity. Battle of the Brazilians there on Cobble and Inferno on the B stream. Obviously, Rogue and Optic going to go head-to-head. Ghost and Liquid. Ghost went 0-2 this evening. They did not look that great against the Optic lineup, but perhaps chance for redemption in the afternoon. Any of those matches stand out for you guys?
For me, I actually think both of them on the mainstream stand out because Misfits versus CLG, they both kind of have that same style, like they plug in all the gaps. There's not going to be a lot of risk.
A lot of default play, so it's going to come down to mind games, and like maybe what might separate the win is who can toss the better fakes and positioning.
Something for you guys to watch out for is Misfits. Sean Gares is actually really good at designing smokes that, like, if he's going to run the same strat over and over again, there might be a small change in how a smoke lands such that it'll create a one-way maybe on the third time you run a strat, and it'll catch somebody off. So that's something to watch out for, and I hope they unleash Amanek because he's my dark horse to be rising star this season.
Yes, that is one thing you can keep your eyes on tomorrow. That is the end of the evening so far, just after day one. Some good matches coming up tomorrow. Obviously, Sean Gares and the two young French players, Amanek, Deva Duvek, I think is the other name. Keep your eye on them, and we'll be back tomorrow, so we'll see you then.